And welcome to this special edition of Hannity Countdown to the election in just 210 days. That's it. Joe Biden can finally be held accountable by you. And despite terrible approval numbers, the president is willing to do whatever he can do to cling on to power. That includes turning his back on our closest ally, the only democracy in the Middle East, all in an effort to appease people in Michigan chanting death to America in the specific town of Dearborn. Take a look at this.
الموت لأمريكا! الموت لأمريكا! الموت لأمريكا!
All right, we have a lot more on the threat from within. Joe's political ambition is clearly way, way more important a priority than supporting an ally after the worst radical terrorist attack in their history. Truly repulsive, and that's saying a lot about Joe. Also, Transportation Secretary, your buddy Pothole Pete, who enjoys a personal security detail, he doesn't see a problem with crime in D.C. I'm sure he's living in his nice little bubble, and one report is now calling it the trendy new splurge for millennials. Most of you would know it as buying groceries. We have a full report on the inflation crisis that is not going away under Joe Biden. All right, but first, if you blinked, you might have missed it. The president was in Wisconsin today. He had a huge, not so huge speech, under 15 minutes. On the way there, Biden nearly tripped up the short little baby stairs. Oh, good, Joey, good job. Anyway, of Air Force One, but was thankfully able to stay upright this time. Remember, he abandoned the big boy stairs a long time ago. Joe then spoke to a handful of voters about instructions that he got from his wife. Always listen. Take a look.
And Madison Mayor, thank you. Where is she? There you go. Stand up. I get instructions from my wife, who's a school teacher. She said, make sure you say hello to the mayor. I really like being with her.
All right, after that fun opener by Joe, well, he got to the real purpose of his speech. The president announced another bold new plan. Basically, I would view it as kind of bribing voters with your tax dollars. Last week, it was a $500 billion green energy spending spree full of handouts to all of Joe's allies. And interestingly, a lot of swing state money. And this week, another round of student loan forgiveness. By the way, a unilateral act that the Supreme Court of our land ruled was unconstitutional. But the Bidens, they never let the rule of law get in the way of a good time paid for with your money. Take a look.
Tens of millions of people's debt was literally about to get canceled. But then some of my Republican friends and elected officials and special interests sued us, and the Supreme Court blocked us. But that didn't stop us. No, I mean it sincerely. We continue to find alternatives passed to reduce student debt payments that are not challengeable. Folks, I will never stop to deliver student debt relief on hardworking Americans, and it's only in the interest of America that we do it.
Defy the Supreme Court of the land, pick and choose what laws to enforce, not enforce, lie to the American people that the border is closed and secure when it's not, lie to the American people about never talking to your son, your brother, or anybody for that matter about their foreign business deals. Interesting life of Joe Biden. Now, if successful, this will be a massive transfer of wealth from Americans that did not go to college to 30 million people that have college degrees, including those that attended graduate school. They're the ones that put their signature to pay back the loan on it, not the rest of you. And in case you're wondering, there is no income cap on this round of student loan forgiveness. In other words, a welder, maybe you make 60, 70 grand a year, will soon be paying the student loan of a tenured sociology professor, for example, making 250 grand. That sound fair to you? Is that the definition of fairness? Now, meanwhile, the colleges, the universities win either way. Joe will never hold them accountable for jacking up prices year after year after year, because as it turns out, the whole middle-class Joe Act, that was all a big lie, too. Now, even some Democrats are having a hard time stomaching Joe Biden. Take a look.
I wouldn't go out there and extol the miracle of the Biden economy. It just drives me crazy when he does that.
President Biden doesn't talk about the wars very often, should he?
Absolutely. Not just in Israel, Ukraine. We're a superpower. He is the commander-in-chief. Absolutely. He should speak out more. And also, we should cover what he's saying, because often when he speaks, nobody listens.
Let's see, Donna Brazil, David Axelrod, James Carville, let's see, Van Jones, Maureen Dowd. A lot of prominent Democratic voices don't like Joe. Privately, most Democrats have been frustrated with Biden for years. Remember, Obama himself famously looked down on Joe, warning, quote, "Never underestimate Joe's ability to F things up." In 2016, Biden was passed over to be Obama's successor. Despite all of her glaring problems, even Hillary Clinton at the time was considered a better choice than Joe. In reality, very few people actually like Joe Biden. It's clear his family is not telling him the truth about probably it would be a good idea to retire. He's been a horrible president for this country. He's in way over his head, always has been, and he's trying to get by, win re-election by handing out your money and smearing Donald Trump and lying about abortion and calling Republicans racist and sexist and all the other names they call conservatives and Republicans. Now, earlier today, President Trump announced his position on abortion, and he rightly believes, if you believe in the Constitution, that it should be left up to the states and for the people in every state to decide. That is called, democracy. That is called states' rights, for example. It's something Democrats claim to love and revere. Not true. Trump emphasized that as president, he will respect every state's decision. Gavin Newsom said in the debate with Ron DeSantis right here on this program, when I had to press him again and again and again, do you support abortion on demand in months 7, 8, and 9? He finally answered and said that should be a decision between a doctor, a woman, and their conscience. So no restrictions. Now, Trump made it clear, he made it unequivocal, there will be no national abortion ban under his administration. In response, the Biden campaign, they do what they always do. They just flat out lied, telling supporters that Donald Trump has a secret plan to ban all abortions nationwide. Now, you got to get ready for this. The only thing missing in that line was, and the Russians are working with Donald Trump to bring abortion back to make it illegal in America. The Russians weren't in that. I'm shocked. But Democrats will be lying a lot in the next 210 days because they cannot run on their failed record. As Trump put it on Truth Social, quote, "You know the Democrats are reeling when they have no response to my recent statement on abortion other than he's only kidding, he will change it, or he won't do that, he'll do something else." Well, I guess this means that we will win the election because they are so bad on every issue. This is the only issue that they're focused on. Great point. Now, to be fair, there is one other thing that some Democrats are focused on, and that is using the Justice Department of Joe Biden as a political weapon against Donald Trump. In fact, the Biden campaign recently posted an ad on X bragging Joe has way more cash on hand, thanks to all of the legal expenses that his Department of Justice is putting on Donald Trump that he has incurred because of a weaponized DOJ of Joe Biden. Mike Lee of Utah summed it up pretty well. He said, quote, "Never thought any U.S. president would ever resort to this, let alone brag about it and avoid condemnation by the press for doing so." Meanwhile, that cash on hand gap is getting smaller. A massive record-setting $50 million Trump campaign fundraiser this past Saturday night in Palm Beach in Florida, in the free state where I live. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.